Loves, how are you? So today I'm being guided to pull some cards and to gain some messages for you today, supporting the recalibration of the connections for the feminines and the masculine collectives. Some of the themes that I've been picking up on is the feminines really, really, truly stabilizing and aligning deeper and deeper into her truth and into her highest timeline. And what I'm picking up on in the masculine collectives is that there is sort of this tower moment energy, like a pivot point, a choice point, and lots of big major shifts are happening within those energetics. So that's what we're gonna dive into today, looking for and aligning with and intending for the highest, most supportive messages for those of you here present with me on the channel. All right. So thank you, all of you, for being here. Those of you that have been here with me and those that are newly subscribed here, thank you so much for your presence and your energy and your connection. It is very much truly and deeply appreciated. And I just wanted to also tell you guys super fast, I did anchor in and commit to doing the Sacred Circle of Love on April 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I did put that in the community tab yesterday, but I'll also drop it in the pinned comment and description box if any of you would like to join that group session. I do have some one-on-ones available next week as well. All right, loves. So we're just going to keep that simple and we're just going to dive into, you know what? I'm going to pick an overall energy for the connections, the twin flame, divine counterpart, divine masculine, divine feminine collectives from the true love deck, just the overall theme, the bridging energy. And then we're going to allow each collective to come through and share messages and support for the collective here on the channel. Thank you. Oh, we got two. All right. We got dating and maturity. Okay. This is so cool because as the message that's coming right out of the gate is like this initial sort of courting energy, and how this is feeling to me right now, the way that they're positioned is how the feminines are standing in their higher ground, their higher truth, in a receptive energy, right? Like, and the masculines are reaching to meet them in the middle. Okay, this feels like we've talked about this where the divine feminines lead in the energetics, right? And the masculines lead in the physical. And this energy to me and the dating card is coming through at exactly that. I feel as the feminine is, I've never seen this card, this dating card. So as the feminine is holding her hand over her heart and her high heart in appreciation for his offer, what I'm sensing is like this is where we're at. And at one moment, as she's grateful for what she's receiving, there's going to come a point where she's going to also extend her hand out and allow herself to fully receive the offer of the flowers. So there's something about this, and I feel like it's significant in the sense that it's speaking about the time that we're in right now. And we just hit spring, and there's these tulips down here, which I was just talking about tulips yesterday. So there's this sense, even looking at the weather where I am today, like through the winter, we had a very, very mild winter, even experiencing temperatures in the 60s and 70s over the past few weeks. And now we've hit spring and it's been snowing. So how I've been taking that is actually there's a thawing that's occurring at the deeper levels. And so sometimes those warm spells come up to actually thaw frozen energies. So roll with me. It's like it's hitting the permafrost. Okay. As we're getting those And this is in the energetics in our subconscious. So the areas that have been frozen for centuries or lifetimes is what the collectives are thawing out back to those original core soul wounds. This is how I've been reading the energy. Roll with me if this makes sense. Let me know in the comments if it's vibing. I always look at the weather as part of the energetic messages. And so even though it's snowing and it's cold, I'm aware that it's because like that permafrost is coming out to thaw. Okay. So it's not that we're going backwards and freezing, it's coming up to thaw out. And then like next week, it looks like we're going to warm back up. So this feels to me like this exact energy of where the energies are starting to come together in new and deeper ways. And as that like kind of permafrost energy thaws out, the two are going to be able to meet in the middle. But right now, the feminines are sort of waiting for that thawing to occur. I have been sensing that there's actually quite a bit of shock energy that's kind of coming up in the systems, which is, i.e., that permafrost energy. And as it thaws, the shock is thawing and the processing is happening with the emotions. So some of you may have been noticing that you feel almost like a neutral, even sometimes maybe despondent energy where you're not feeling much of anything and you're kind of just floating along. And then a little while later, all of a sudden you're processing like really big emotions. That's kind of where that permafrost or shock is actually thawing out. And so it does feel that this new form of energetic courting is taking place as the masculines are thawing out. This is allowing actually the feminines to thaw out equally in places where both parties had frozen off in those initial closing down phases to go work in their own energies. And this maturity card is taking it to a deeper level. So it's like they've each been maturing in their own way internally. And this picture is speaking to me about how the energy feels like where she's kind of integrating her wizard like masculine energies, but um it feels simultaneous. This card to me is just representing where both collectives are integrating their wisdom and their maturity as well as their internal union. Okay. Each still stepping into their overall respective energies, but working on those internal union energies, encompassing and embodying more and more of their own wisdom is allowing these integration recalibration processes to come together. So although at a soul level there is this deeper maturing of knowing that the energies have always been connected, in the physical, this is actually starting and preparing to come into a new form of physical world fruition. Okay. So let's see who wants to speak first? The masculines actually want to speak first. I thought it was going to be the feminines, but the masculines would like to come through first. So what would the masculines like us to know? Treasures hidden in the shadows, confidence in your magic. Two came out. What I'm feeling with this, I feel this actually activating quite deeply. What's coming through is like the sword of truth is activating those initiations and the energy of purification. And what it's doing is allowing the energies that have been frozen in the shadows to activate and open. You see, it's like the fire and the warmth is melting. So if this was all frozen at one point, it's starting to open and transform, and the truth is coming out. And that's definitely a masculine face within there. So it feels like they're acknowledging that this initiation, that these flames, these purification processes, these initiations that are intended to move us, to transmute and transform all of the things that have kept us frozen from our true essence and our true energy and our true power. is in the process for the masculines. And it's a big part of what I just described, right? Within even what I'm seeing here in the weather and what we're experiencing within our energetic fields in the shared space. Like I said, this is happening as the masculines are thawing. It is also allowing deeper portions of the feminines to thaw. And this is continuing to strengthen and occur on a very deep, broad level, like I've said, because we're no longer running, we're no longer freezing off. If we feel the frozen energy, instead of running, we're like, okay, I'm just going to stand in my warmth. I'm going to stand in my truth. And that allows it to free. It allows the frozen parts to thaw versus where maybe in the past, we would feel the frozen energy, we would feel the ice wall, and then we would go into our frozen energy of just not wanting to reciprocate, right? Or just being um not feeling well within that, and so then pulling our energies back. But now, even if we're not receiving the reciprocity from others, we're just fully standing in our truth and thawing our own frozen parts, which again is activating that for the masculine collectives. And they are acknowledging that this is in bloom. It's not just giving me the thawing of the ice in the opening, but it very, very much has this butterfly energy. And I associate this color very deeply with the high heart energy, the heart, the space between the heart and the throat, which I think I mentioned last video. Um, Around the twin flame divine counterpart connections going through a huge recalibration process. Let me know if you've been feeling this in your energetic body, in your field, whether you're masculine or feminine. Have you been feeling sort of this high heart area opening, or the back of the heart, the back of the neck, the back of the shoulders, really like wanting to open up, almost like butterfly wings or angel wings or bird wings, whatever? Just, I can feel this activation occurring as I'm speaking. So maybe some of you are even receiving it through the voice activation, but just allowing yourself to deepen into this process, regardless of where you are in the journey and regardless of how many times you've received throat. And there's very, very much a truth activation occurring. Okay. A truth activation is occurring for the masculine. This is just coming through in very real time in this moment. I know for me, I'm always asking to align with the truth. If, especially if I'm not in an energy of clarity, I'm just like, you know what, it doesn't matter to me what it is. I just want the truth, because if I have the truth, then I know how to make moves. And this is very much feeling that drive, that desire, that want for the actual truth over the comfort is starting to awaken more deeply within the masculines. And what I mean by this is, unless we're ready to actually receive the truth, it can be scary, right? Because we don't know what all of it is. And so we can have a tendency to freeze off or dissociate because it's too much for us to handle psychologically in the moment. But as we process what we've known and we start to thaw the shock or the soul shock, now we're actually prepared to receive the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. But when we can start to get truthful and honest with ourselves for ourselves, then it allows us to actually be able to receive the truth from external sources as well. And I think last week I did the video about the masculines really discovering the truth for themselves. But I'm deeply loving the confirmation in this, because as you're seeing, these messages are coming in real time. And what I mean by that is, yes, I've been picking up on the stream, but now this is coming through in a different direction, in a different pocket. So for me right here, right now, it's giving me confirmation that the truth is coming in, and the masculines are really, really opening up new forms of truth within their subconscious. And so, just like I've talked about here, it's like we take it in digestible chunks so that we can work with the energy rather than overwhelming our system, which is why these energies are opening in the way that they are. It might be a little bit slower than we wish, but at the same time, being able to work through it, thaw it, and digest it in the long run, it actually helps us get there much quicker in a much more stable fashion, which is what I believe many, if not all of us, have been aiming for. Because the more stable we are, the more we're actually able to integrate the information in a very integrated, truthful, calibrated way where it's not just something that's coming from external sources, but something that we've actually processed and received as our own internal truth. And you all know there is absolutely nothing more powerful than the hard-won wisdom of gaining your own internal truth, because once you align and embody that, that's immovable because you just know your truth and you stand within it. And this isn't the type of truth where you're being hard and not open to other options. This is just understanding how you want to move. This is like emperor, empress energy, god and goddess energy, where you're sovereign and you're strong in your truth. You're in a very tempered energy. It's bringing in the energy of like the Hierophant, where you're balanced and harmonious and you're open to opinions and you're open to seeing how things are, but you're also comfortable stabilizing into what you know is true for you. This is strengthening, expanding, and amplifying for the masculine collectives right here and now, which is also equally allowing that to expand deeply for the feminines. Beautiful, beautiful mirror. Okay, now let's see what would the feminines like to share with us about this process of this recalibration. What do we got here, feminines? What would you like us to see or know? Okay. Healing earth, the power to give and receive healing. This is bringing me immediately back to that energy of reciprocity, but it's also deeply speaking to me of how the feminines are much more grounded, embodied, and stabilized on the earth with her connection to the earth, with her physical material world in a way that is balanced as she's channeling her higher power, her higher knowing, and living in a very embodied, neutral manner. In the fact that she's aware, the feminines are aware that she's always learning and growing and evolving, but tempered enough to respect herself enough to honor how far and deeply she has actually come from where she has been. I do feel like something else wants to come with that. Oh, actually, I like this. The feminines actually want me to go into some of the very physical world energies. Okay, divine feminines, what would you like us to know about the connection with the earth and the physical material world reality? This is so interesting. It's a tree, but for some reason it's giving me the energy of like a cricket. I feel like that's significant too. We'll have to look up cricket. It's not coming to me off the top of my head. So if you guys want to look up cricket totem, that may be significant for you. That's just coming through. Oh, okay. Let's see. We're just gonna allow it to come through. The feminines talking about the physical manifested reality of what's coming through is first initially, obviously, it's signifying to me where the feminines are acknowledging how much more deeply they are in their internal union. But it's also immediately speaking to me about the feminines nearing or in the process of nearing those sacred union energies on the planet and within her materially manifested reality, which makes sense why I was guided to bring back the sacred circle of love. I was specifically guided to put the intention that this is a space supporting sacred union energies on earth. This is making me laugh. So, I mean, this makes sense because we're co-creating the messages, we're co-creating here on the channel what I'm offering and providing to hold space with for you guys. So, it would make sense that we would co-create and manifest a sacred circle supporting sacred union energies on planet Earth. And here is the confirmation. All right. Gorgeousness. All right. Yes, there's very much, I'm going to pull more on that because I can feel I'm being guided to pull three. So, what are some of the things that we can focus on to support these sacred union energies right here and right now, regardless of what's happening around us, but just for ourselves? I'm going to pull the three and then see how they come together. Wow. Okay. So, this is very interesting what came through. So, what I'm sensing and seeing is where the feminines, or whoever's watching this, masculines and feminines, the feminines are bringing forth the message for us to reconcile internally to create a deeper depths of sacred union energies by facing any of the areas where we may have been avoiding the truth and making sure that we're cleaning up any other areas of past betrayal or self betrayal. So, really asking to align with and clearing any residuals of past betrayal energy and replacing that with the energy and the essence of devotion. Okay. So, as we're clearing one essence of, say, betrayal, you want to bring in the other energy of what you're wanting to receive in its place. So unraveling, dissolving betrayal and integrating and recalibrating with devotion. Okay? So just roll with that. All right? That's one of the things that is coming through. Okay? And in this second card, what's coming through is that I had this conversation with my cousin and she posted it yesterday. And it was that she was like, Danielle was right. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, even when we can't see it. And this morning she was messaging me, speaking about how she could feel and see the light at the end of the tunnel and that a huge train of goodness passed through the tunnel. And I just felt guided to share that because something about this energy is speaking to me about the essence of that. And maybe it's like the keyhole being the tunnel, right? And this light shining and all of the pentacles, and the key is right there. She can't see any of it because she's in a deep state of grieving, and that is okay. She may need to be in that space right at that moment. But as she's processing, as we're processing the emotions, masculine or feminine, I'm saying she because it's a she on the card. But as this is processing, it's opening up energies, right? So as we're thawing the shock, as we're processing the sadness or the old feelings, it's actually freeing up the light, right? So that we can see through the tunnel, so we can realize the keys, so we can see the truth of what was underneath all of the shock and the frozen energy, what was under the permafrost. And I'm bringing up permafrost because it's those ancient layers of the earth that have been frozen for a very long time, not just for one season, correct? That is akin to these connections and where those original core separations took place way back whenever have you, okay? Wherever your soul remembers those energies. And so we are going that deep, not just this incarnation, but all the way back into those original core soul wounds and separations. And so as we're allowing this process of the thawing and the clearing and the grieving, it's actually opening up the keys and the codes that we've been needing to help us move forward. And for some reason, oh my gosh, so this is giving me this energy right now. Another thing that's been coming up for me the past couple days for any of you who know or remember the movie Goonies, where he's speaking about it and he's like, it's our time down here. I kept hearing that. I kept hearing that message. And as I'm saying it to you, I was like, well, okay, it's our time right now. That's what it kept feeling like. But it's hitting in a different way because I remember in that movie, they had to do all of these like keys and codes and all of these traps and booby traps to get through all of the processes. And this is what this feels like to me. This is, in essence, what we've been doing and what we've been challenged to do and what has been put in front of us. We've essentially been on this expedition and moving through all of these puzzles and traps to get to the actual prize. And as we allow ourselves to thaw the permafrost and to move through the emotions, it's opening the keys and the codes so that what I felt and sensed was that all of a sudden these five pentacles started to move. And as they moved, I can hear like the chain reaction in my minds. And it's actually opening that light at the end of the tunnel. It's opening the energies that we're needing because we're allowing this thawing process to happen. Okay, loves? Wow, that was beautiful. I've been wondering about why that Goonies thing has been in my head. And the more it's hitting me, it's almost like our human self saying that to our higher self. Well, this is our time down here. This is our time to embody. It's our time to remember who we truly are and to drop into our full core soul blueprint and to find and receive and experience all of those treasures that we've been working for, the things that we've been transforming ourselves for. And the fact that this is coming through right now feels wow. It's activating more of that high heart for me as I sit here and speak it to you. Ooh, and for the third one came the Moon card and the Knight of Swords. And immediately what's coming to me is that as we have learned to hold ourselves open in these deep uncomfortable emotions. And we've learned to hold this space for ourselves, and we've learned how to temper and balance. We've learned how to accept our dark and our light, or we're working on all of these things, right? But what they're showing me is as we have the capacity to do this, we actually have the capacity to sustain the enormity of what these connections actually are. And because we're holding these energies or learning too deeply, and the more we're mastering it, it opens up the space for the masculines to return because now we can actually hold the capacity and the container of the enormity of what these connections bring and are when they come together in the physical world. And I said this maybe a month or so ago that the feminines were preparing to actually be able to receive the huge energies that their masculines actually are. Okay. Each in their own right are amazing beings. Okay. The capacity of which you hold as a feminine and a masculine individually is exceedingly powerful. You have to be able to at least master your own energies to some degree to be able to match with your masculine in return, right? The same way they're strengthening to match you and yours, because this is where we continue to learn and grow with one another. And now this morning, this vision that I had, so, you know, I often see a circle as a very feminine energy and a square as a very masculine energy. And what I was seeing was a circle that was encircled by a square. And then around the square was a circle. And then around the circle was a square. And to me, this was representing how the masculine and feminines are working in tandem, each allowing themselves to level up internally and externally, but that it's not just one way or another, but it builds these steps of support, okay, where we're feeling the support at each turn. This is the reciprocity and the camaraderie that we are working on internally, that we're working on here in our unity, community, right? As we're building these connections and then welcoming that in our inner union, but also in external union energies. Okay. And whew, very beautiful. I know that I just gave you guys a lot, and I'm very excited for the energies that we're really deeply moving into. And as I'm here bringing these messages through, I feel very much that this spring energy here in the northern hemisphere anyway, but collectively as a planet, wherever we are being guided, and we're moving into these sacred stabilization energies of stabilizing the sacred union codes deeply and firmly into the material world, onto the planet. And as we continue to allow ourselves to thaw those permafrost energies, it actually frees up the depths of our true capability so we can clear out the pain and embody into our true power, thus restoring the space to actually be able to house these connections in their original true form, right? We need all of that original space back for ourselves and for our connections. So, my loves, keep going. If you want to deepen this and work in the group setting to strengthen into these energies even more so, please join me for the Sacred Circle of Love on April 3rd. And again, if you're needing some support for yourself, you can find my one on one schedule. I would absolutely love to hear from you. How are these messages resonating? How are they feeling for you? Have you been experiencing any of these? Does this make sense? How does it feel for you? Um, and again, keep up the gorgeous work of continuing to strengthen in your truth and allowing that permafrost to thaw. Thank you so, so very much, dear divine feminines and dear divine masculines. I love you all and hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Love you.